Welcome to our deep dive into the world of investment and sustainable development.
Yeah.
We're cracking open the 2024 World Investment Report
Okay.
by UNCTAD, which is like the crystal ball for global investment trends.
Right.
Today, we're focusing on how countries are attracting investment, especially for those sustainable development goals,
Mm.
and the role technology is playing. We'll uncover some key trends, surprising stats,
Sure.
and hopefully give you some food for thought about the future of investment.
It's a fascinating landscape right now, full of complexities and opportunities.
It sounds like it. So let's start with the global investment landscape. The report mentions that global foreign direct investment,
Okay.
or FDI, actually declined in 2023. That sounds a little worrisome.
Mm.
Does that mean investors are getting cold feet?
It's not necessarily a lack of confidence,
Okay.
but more a reaction to a somewhat volatile global situation.
Right.
Think about it. You have investor uncertainty,
Yeah.
a global economy experiencing fracturing,
Yeah.
and rising interest rates.
Mm.
All of these contribute to a more cautious approach.
That makes sense. But amidst all of this, the report also highlights an increase in greenfield project announcements,
Yeah.
particularly in developing Asia. What's the story there?
This is where it gets really interesting. Despite those headwinds, the increase in greenfield projects, especially in developing Asia,
Mm-hmm.
suggests an underlying confidence in the long-term prospects of emerging markets. It's like investors are saying, yes, there are challenges,
Mm-hmm.
but the growth potential here is too big to ignore.
So it's a bet on the future,
Yeah.
even with the current uncertainty. What about the types of industries attracting these investments?
Sure.
Are we seeing any shifts there?
Absolutely.
Like,
We see a surge in renewables and electric vehicles, which is fantastic news for sustainability.
okay.
But there's also a decline in investments going towards those traditional industries and infrastructure.
So?
This suggests a shift in focus towards a more sustainable future.
Okay, so mixed bag. But with a silver lining for sustainability. And that brings us to our listeners' interest in the Sustainable Development Goals,
Okay.
or SDGs. The report paints a picture of a pretty significant investment gap
Right.
when it comes to achieving these goals.
Yes, unfortunately, that gap is a major concern.
Okay.
While the need for investment in sectors crucial for achieving the SDGs is glaringly obvious,
Yeah.
the actual investment is lagging behind. For example, UNCTAD estimates a staggering $500 billion annual gap in water sanitation
Wow.
and hygiene, also known as WASH,
Okay.
and a further $300 billion gap in agri-food systems.
Sure.
These are massive numbers that we can't afford to ignore.
Those numbers are certainly eye-opening. They really highlight the urgency of finding ways to bridge this gap.
Right.
And it seems the report points to investment facilitation as part of the solution.
Investment facilitation is definitely a key part of the puzzle.
Okay.
It's all about creating a business environment that's welcoming and efficient,
Right.
where both domestic and foreign businesses can thrive.
So is it just about cutting red tape?
Or is there more to it?
It's definitely more nuanced than simply cutting red tape.
Okay.
It's about creating a system that's transparent and predictable,
Right.
ensuring that businesses understand the rules of the game and can operate with confidence. We're talking about efficient processes,
Yeah.
clear regulations,
Uh-huh.
and readily available information, essentially creating the ideal conditions for investment to flourish.
And I'm guessing this is where the magic of digital government comes into play.
Precisely. And the report really highlights a dramatic shift. The number of countries offering online business registration services has skyrocketed in recent years.
Really?
It's a clear indication that governments are recognizing the power of technology to streamline these processes and attract investment.
That makes a lot of sense. Instead of getting bogged down in paperwork and bureaucratic hurdles,
Right.
you can now register a business online in many countries. But it's not just about online registration, is it?
You're right. It goes far beyond that. We're seeing a whole array of digital tools emerging.
To streamline those administrative processes, think information portals that provide investors with easy access to crucial data and online single windows,
Right.
acting as one-stop shops for all administrative procedures.
Yeah.
These are game changers for businesses, especially those just starting out.
So instead of navigating a maze of offices and paperwork,
Right.
everything is right there at their fingertips. Do we have any real-world examples of this actually working?
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
The report highlights a fantastic success story from Burundi. After they launched their digital platform, business registrations shot up by a whopping 59%.
Wow.
It's a real testament to the impact of these digital solutions.
That's impressive. It seems like digital investment facilitation is more than just a good idea. It's
Yeah.
actually delivering tangible results. But what about the impact on attracting investment overall?
This is where we start to connect the dots between digital government solutions and their impact on attracting investment. UNCTAD's research shows that countries with more robust digital government solutions tend to see higher FDI inflows, more business creation, and even improved institutional quality. It's like a domino effect, where technology strengthens governance and in turn makes countries more attractive to investors.
So it's not just about convenience, it's about building a more solid and attractive investment environment.
Exactly. Think of it as a virtuous cycle.
Yeah.
The easier it is to do business in a country,
Yeah.
the more attractive it becomes to investors. And digital tools are playing a crucial role in making that happen.
But surely it's not a magic bullet, is it? I imagine there are still challenges to overcome.
Of course, you're absolutely right. Implementation is always a challenge.
Yeah.
And there's also the digital divide, ensuring that everyone has access to these technologies.
Right.
We also can't forget the need for capacity building to ensure that people have the skills to use these digital tools effectively. But the potential is undoubtedly there, and the benefits far outweigh the challenges.
So while digital investment facilitation and digital government are incredibly promising,
Right.
they also need to be implemented strategically and thoughtfully to maximize their impact.
Exactly. And that's a great segue into the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll be taking a closer look at how countries are using these tools and what that means for the future of investment.
Sounds good to me. Let's dive in.
Let's shift gears a bit and delve into how the very fabric of investment policy is being reshaped.
You're right, the report does highlight some fascinating trends in investment policy. One that really stood out to me was the shift from simply liberalizing investment
Right.
to actively facilitating it.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
In the past, the focus was on opening doors to foreign investment, removing restrictions and saying, come invest.
Yeah.
But now the focus is on making sure those doors are easy to walk through,
Right.
making the actual process of investing as smooth and efficient as possible.
It's almost like a shift from simply attracting investment to cultivating it,
Yeah.
making the entire experience more welcoming. It makes sense, though, because you not only want to attract investors, but
Right.
you also want to keep them around.
Exactly. It's about creating a sustainable investment ecosystem.
Yeah.
And digital tools are becoming integral to this shift.
Okay.
They're streamlining administrative processes, providing investors with clear and accessible information,
Right.
and creating that predictable and efficient investment environment that we talked about earlier.
So technology is really becoming the key to unlocking a more investor-friendly environment. But the report also points out a seemingly contradictory trend, the rise of outward investment restrictions.
Okay.
How does that fit into this picture?
It's an interesting dynamic, isn't it? While many countries are eager to attract inward investment,
Yeah.
they're also becoming more cautious about outbound investment,
Right.
especially in sectors deemed sensitive or strategic.
So on the one hand, they're rolling out the red carpet for foreign investors. But on the other hand, they're putting up some guardrails for their own companies investing abroad. What's driving this cautious approach?
National security concerns are definitely a major factor.
Okay.
Governments are becoming increasingly wary of foreign investment in sectors that are critical to their national interests.
Yeah.
Things like technology infrastructure and essential resources. They want to ensure they maintain control over these vital areas.
That's understandable. And I imagine the current geopolitical climate with its increased tensions and polarization is also contributing to this cautious approach.
Absolutely. In a world that feels increasingly fragmented,
Right.
governments are naturally more likely to scrutinize investments from certain countries or companies, especially if they perceive them as potential threats or rivals.
It definitely adds another layer of complexity to the investment landscape. So where do international investment agreements, or IIAs, fit into all of this? They set the ground rules for cross-border investment, right?
IIAs are a crucial part of the framework, and they've been evolving to reflect these new trends.
Yeah.
They're no longer just about protecting investors. They're also about actively facilitating investment.
That sounds like a pretty significant shift.
Okay.
How are these newer IIAs incorporating this focus on facilitation?
Newer IIAs are including more provisions
Okay.
that specifically address investment facilitation. For instance, we're seeing commitments to provide online information,
Right.
streamline those administrative processes, and even establish online dispute resolution mechanisms. It's about making the entire investment process more transparent and user-friendly.
So in a sense, IIAs are becoming more digitally savvy,
Hmm.
embracing technology as a tool to promote and facilitate investment.
Yeah.
It makes sense because a treaty that promotes online business registration is much more likely to have a real impact
Right.
than one that just talks about streamlining procedures in a vague way.
Precisely. It's about translating those commitments into tangible actions that benefit investors.
Okay.
But here's the catch.
Hmm.
Many older IIAs still govern a large portion of global investment. And many of these were drafted before digital government was even a concept.
So there's a bit of a mismatch between these older agreements and the current realities of the digital age.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that can create uncertainty and inconsistency for investors.
Yeah.
It really underscores the need for ongoing IIA reform to ensure that these agreements keep pace with the rapidly changing world of investment
Right.
and the growing role of technology. It's a continuous process of adaptation.
It seems like staying ahead of the curve in the investment world is a never-ending process. Speaking of evolution, the report also dives into an area where we're seeing some really exciting developments, sustainable finance.
Okay.
And this ties directly back to our listeners' interest in understanding how countries are attracting investment for those all-important sustainability goals.
Sustainable finance is definitely a hot topic, and for good reason. The market is experiencing explosive growth.
Uh-huh.
We're seeing a surge in sustainable investment products,
Okay.
particularly bonds and funds. Investors are realizing that they can align their financial goals with their values, putting their money where their heart is, so to speak.
So it's not just about doing good.
No,
It's
no.
also about doing well financially.
Absolutely. Sustainable investments are increasingly seen as both financially sound and ethically responsible.
Mm-hmm.
It's a win-win situation.
Okay.
And this is being fueled in part by government policies and regulations that are actively promoting sustainable finance.
That's great to hear. Are there any specific examples of how governments are encouraging this shift towards sustainable investment?
Many countries are developing what are known as green taxonomies.
Okay.
Think of these as classification systems that clearly define what activities qualify as green or sustainable.
Right.
This helps investors make informed decisions and avoids greenwashing,
Yeah.
where companies may exaggerate their environmental credentials.
Yeah.
It's about establishing clear standards and ensuring transparency.
It's like setting the ground rules for what truly qualifies as a sustainable investment, ensuring that the money is actually flowing to where it can make a real difference.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's a lot of momentum building in this space.
There is. And it's not just about setting standards. We're also seeing the emergence of mandatory sustainability reporting requirements.
Okay.
More and more countries are requiring companies to disclose their environmental and social impact,
Right.
bringing greater transparency to the market. This allows investors to see the bigger picture and make more informed decisions.
It's about holding companies accountable for their actions.
Yeah.
And ensuring that sustainable finance lives up to its promises. It seems like sustainable finance is no longer a niche market.
Right.
It's becoming a mainstream force shaping investment decisions worldwide.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's crucial because we need massive amounts of capital to flow into sustainable activities if we're going to tackle the climate crisis and achieve those ambitious sustainable development goals. But let's not forget about the big players in the investment world.
Yeah.
The ones with significant financial firepower, sovereign wealth funds, and public pension funds.
Right.
They have a huge role to play in this transition towards a more sustainable future.
That's right. These are the giants of the investment world, managing trillions of dollars in assets. But what's their track record on sustainability? Are they walking the talk?
Their track record is improving,
Okay.
but there's definitely room for growth. UNCTAD's research shows that more and more of these funds are integrating sustainability into their investment strategies and reporting on their environmental and social performance, which is encouraging.
So they're starting to move in the right direction, but it sounds like there's still a ways to go.
Yes, it's a work in progress. There are still a significant number of funds that aren't disclosing any information on their sustainability performance,
Really?
which raises concerns about transparency and accountability.
Right.
And while many funds are taking steps to manage climate risk, a majority haven't yet committed to those ambitious net zero investment strategies.
So there's a sense that they're dipping their toes into the sustainable investment pool, but they haven't fully dived in yet.
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
These funds hold immense power to influence the sustainability landscape,
Right.
but their full potential in driving sustainable development hasn't been fully realized. There's a real opportunity for them to become leaders in this space.
It sounds like there's a lot happening in the world of investment, and much of it is driven by this fascinating convergence of digital technologies and the growing emphasis on sustainability.
That's a great observation. We're witnessing a paradigm shift from simply attracting investment to actively facilitating it,
Yeah.
and digital tools are becoming the driving force behind this transformation.
And sustainable finance is no longer just a niche market. It's
Right.
becoming a mainstream force shaping investment decisions worldwide.
Exactly. And I think this raises some really important questions about the future of investment.
Okay.
How will these trends play out in the long run?
Yeah.
What new possibilities will emerge as technology continues to evolve? And how can we ensure that investment is directed towards a more sustainable and equitable future,
Right.
one that benefits everyone?
Those are the million-dollar questions, and they lead us perfectly into the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll explore the implications of these trends and what they mean for the future of investment and sustainable development.
Let's dive in.
It feels like we're on the cusp of a real paradigm shift when it comes to investment and development.
I completely agree. The convergence of investment facilitation, digital government, and sustainable finance is creating a whole new landscape of possibilities. It's exciting to witness these forces coming together.
Exciting, yes, but also a bit daunting to grasp the full scope of what this means for the future. The report mentions the need for a sustainable investment cycle. What does that actually look like in practice?
It's a powerful concept that aims to shift the traditional investment model. Imagine a system where investments not only generate financial returns,
Right.
but also actively contribute to social and environmental progress.
So it's about moving beyond that narrow focus on profit maximization and embracing a more holistic view of value creation.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that financial success and positive impact can go hand in hand. And digital technologies have a crucial role to play in making this vision a reality.
Okay.
They can help us measure and track the impact of investments, ensure transparency and accountability, and connect investors with projects that align with their values and goals.
It's like building a bridge between those seeking financial returns and those seeking to make a positive impact on the world.
That's a great analogy.
Right.
Think of it as a matchmaking service for sustainable investment.
Okay.
Digital platforms can help identify projects that need funding,
Right.
assess their sustainability credentials, and then connect them with investors who are looking for both financial returns and positive impact.
That takes the guesswork out of sustainable investing, making it easier for investors to find projects that resonate with their values and goals.
Yeah.
And also opens up opportunities for a wider range of investors to participate, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not just about those large institutional investors anymore. Digital platforms can empower individuals and smaller investors to direct their capital towards projects that align with their sustainability goals, democratizing access to sustainable investment and creating a more dynamic and inclusive investment ecosystem.
That's a game changer. It makes sustainable investing more accessible and empowers individuals to be part of the solution. But we've talked about the digital divide.
Yeah.
How do we ensure that everyone benefits from this transformation, not just those with access to technology and resources?
That's a crucial point. Bridging the digital divide is essential if we want to create a truly inclusive and sustainable investment cycle.
Right.
It requires investing in digital infrastructure, promoting digital literacy, and ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to participate in this new digital economy. Think of it as leveling the playing field.
So it's not enough to simply develop these digital tools and platforms. We need to ensure that they are accessible to everyone, regardless of their location, background, or level of digital literacy.
Exactly. And we need to be mindful of how these tools are designed, ensuring that they are inclusive and accessible to all, including those with disabilities, those in remote areas, and those who may not be digitally native. We can't let the digital divide exacerbate existing inequalities. We need to use technology to bridge those gaps, not widen them.
And alongside bridging the digital divide, the report emphasizes the importance of capacity building, which goes hand in hand with ensuring access.
Absolutely. Having access to digital tools is one thing, but knowing how to use them effectively is another. Investing in education and training programs is vital to equip people with the skills they need to thrive in this new digital economy. We're talking about technical skills, of course,
Yeah.
but also critical thinking, problem solving, and entrepreneurial skills all of which are essential for success in a rapidly changing world.
It's about empowering people to not just use technology, but to leverage it to create opportunities, solve problems, and build a better future. It sounds like we need to shift our thinking from simply investing in companies to investing in people as well.
That's a brilliant way to put it.
Yeah,
Human capital is our most valuable asset,
right.
and we need to invest in it wisely if we want to create a future that is both prosperous and sustainable. We need a workforce that is adaptable, innovative, and equipped to tackle the challenges of the 21st century.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive. I feel like I've gained a much clearer understanding of how these seemingly separate forces, investment technology and sustainability, are converging to reshape our world.
I agree. And while we've uncovered some incredible potential and trends, it's important to remember that this is still an evolving landscape. We're all navigating this new terrain and figuring out how to harness these powerful tools for good.
That's right. It's an ongoing journey of discovery and adaptation, and that's where our listeners come in.
Absolutely. As you delve further into the source material and reflect on what we've discussed, we encourage you to consider, what role can you play in shaping this sustainable investment cycle? What opportunities do you see for using digital innovation to drive progress toward a more sustainable future? And how can we ensure that these advancements benefit everyone, not just a select few?
It's a call to action for each of us to become active participants in shaping a future where investment technology and sustainability work in harmony to create a world that is both prosperous and just.
A world where we measure growth and progress, not just by financial gains, but by the well-being of people and the health of our planet.
That's a future worth investing in our time, our resources, and our collective efforts.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.